Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome back to another high-level best of 3 between Clem and a Solar. In the past few years, whenever these two would fight, Clem would fairly easily sweep Solar. But over the past few weeks, something has changed. Solar managed to take a series, Solar has been managing to take maps on a more consistent basis as well. And as a result, this particular player matchup has gotten a lot more interesting for me, and hopefully for you guys as well, to watch. Solar has made in general, kind of a big break over the past few weeks, where he gained a lot of ranks on the world ranking. He's been playing phenomenal StarCraft 2, and let's see if Clem is going to be capable of kind of dealing with this newly born Solar. You know, the second coming of Solar, pretty much. Solar had a very good period in 2015, which is 10 years ago at this point, in which he won the... I want to say he won DreamHack Stockholm. I feel like he won an SSL at some point as well. I can't quite recall which year that was, but he's already had quite a good career. But he has he's catching basically a second life here, a second career right now. Feels like it's starting for him, in which he's actually once again fairly competitive with the highest level players, and he's made himself, he put himself back in the top 10 once more. I'm curious to see what he's going to be capable of doing in this particular game. As Clem moves him forward, he has 6 Hellions out, seeing if he can deal some damage. So far, almost no workers killed. Behind this, we have a Banshee. This is the first Banshee that's going to hit the field. Second Banshee will follow shortly. Double barracks on the way as well. Third CC is already here. We're going to go into a double refinery behind all of this as well. So 4 refineries total. We have the lair coming out of Solar, who's building a spore in the main base. I think he's preparing for a Liberator, just based on that spore positioning. Look at this. This is definitely anti-Liberator positions. Solar soon will figure out, though, that it's going to be Banshee. And there we go. I think he spotted it because he placed those spores neatly tucked in the middle, managing to defend absolutely everything. Roachwarn will be the tech of choice, not a Baneling Nest, which is surprising to me. Ooh. You nasty Terran player, look at that. It's gonna take out these rocks and we'll try to start mining from these gold minerals. Rocks have a lot of HP, but with the help of the cars and 3 Marines shooting this, perhaps the Banshees will show up as well. This does look like it's going to be a fairly quickly cleaned up, and then we can start mining from it. Wouldn't mind if we get a slightly bigger worker transfer. If you have the gold minerals available to you, might as well start mining from there ASAP, right? Barracks 4 and 5 start, Clem getting that reactor going as well. Meanwhile, Solar's getting the melee and carapace upgrade. So roaches for safety, and then I'm guessing melee carapace plus Baneling Nest as our mid-game composition. Infestation Pit will go down shortly as well. It's going to be my expectation for what Solar is doing in this game. The double cloak sheaths are moving in towards the natural. There's no Overseer actually available to deal with it. I'm not sure if he just forgot about Overseers as like a concept. Okay, now we have an Overseer who's just out of position. Hellions are gonna run by. There's nothing here to stop it. That's gonna cost Solar a couple of drones. Maybe even more than just a couple of drones. 6 already going down. 3 more will fall. And now that he's in the main base, surely Clem is gonna get even more worker kills here. Yep, there we go. 12 worker kills in exchange for, what is that? 6-ish Hellions. The Banshees are attacking the forward base as well, so serious damage here being dealt by Clem, who is also loading up his first 2 medevacs and going to send it over to the third base. This base is taking a serious beating as well, by the way. That could become an issue later on in this game. That absolutely could become an issue later on in this game. There is no 4th CC on the map quite yet. We do have a second factory coming in, and there's double refineries on this base, which means that Clem's going to get plenty of gas over here. Solar is still slightly up in supply, but that's honestly mainly due to the fact that he's producing a lot of roaches. Like he's taken significant damage so far in this game. 1-1 finishes up for Clem. Combat Shield is about halfway done. Baneling Nest, Hive, all on the way pretty much at the same time. I think the most important thing for Solar to kind of do is to not take any big damage the moment Combat Shield finishes up. It always feels like that is a major timing for Clem, in which he has the 1-1 upgrades. He's going to have majority of the time like 2 different groups of units active on the map, and they're gonna start multitasking as well. If Solar can survive that stage of the game and quickly transition into some type of Viper setup, then yeah, I think he's going to be in a fine spot. I think he's going to be in just a fine fine spot. There's a lot of Marines here. We could even see like a minor tank push. I mean, we have 4 tanks out right now. We have the 1-1 upgrade. Marine count is what? At 50? Like, that is a fairly serious Marine count. If you can hit pre-Viper with 4 to 5 tanks, it's not necessarily easy to hold. It really ain't easy to hold whatsoever. Marine's gonna start clearing a bit more creep throughout the middle. Fort base finishes up as well. Most likely will turn into a planetary. Lifts it, lands it, and planetaries it. Okay, here we go. You have 2 tanks going across the map. So that means that we'll keep about 2 at home. 1 more gets rallied across as well. Gold base could be in a little bit of trouble. Actually, there's 3 tanks over here. There's going to be 4 tanks. An absolute crap ton of Marines. This is not necessarily looking that great for Solar. I don't entirely see how he's going to be capable of cleaning this army. There's a lot of chokes on this map. We're going to need to see a flank from either behind or coming from the left side if he wants to clean this up. Otherwise, it's just going to be so freaking hard. Where are the Vipers, by the way? Okay, they are still busy gathering energy. They have enough right now for a single blinding cloud per Viper. Banelings are rolling in already, though. Tank's getting a lot of good shots. Look at that, 17 kills on this tank. The other tank had 14 kills already. The one here to the left has 3, and this bad boy has 7. So a lot of kills in there. Baneling count is honestly looking pretty freaking pathetic right now. First set of Ultras is on the way as well. Where are these Vipers? Here they come. Ling run by, wanting to cut off some reinforcements. Not quite going to work. Banelings do get a couple of connections. Not the best connections though. And these Vipers still haven't really participated in this battle whatsoever. No parasitic bombs. No blinding clouds quite yet. And I feel like Solar's time is actually pretty much running out. The moment 2-2 finishes for Clem, it's going to be a very bad couple of seconds for Solar, because he's just going to be down 2 upgrades. Solar is pulling ahead in supply ever so slightly. The first Ultra is out as well. No chitin is plating on that quite yet, though. Clem now sees that Ultralisk as well. 2-2 finishes up, and this is the... I think this is the part where Solar is the most vulnerable. Right in this moment. There are 5... oh my god, there's so many tanks. There's like 8 tanks back here. We do get a flank. 1 blinding cloud, 2 blinding clouds, 3 blinding clouds. Majority of the tanks here are covered as Solar moves in forward and is going to clean up this entire tank force. Ravagers might be capable of staying alive. This was before the Carapace upgrades finished. Before the melee upgrades finished as well. So this was without the upgrades that Solar wanted. Now there are 4 more Ultras in production. We still have 2 remaining. Did the Vipers survive? 1 Viper managed to survive. So that one can go back and gather some energy. Clem needs to be really careful. If you lose all of your tanks and there is an Ultralisk counterattack, that could just instantly lose you the game. I think Clem is realizing that. He's setting up these tanks in some slightly more defensive positions right now, harder to attack into, and he just wants to continue putting some pressure on this gold. Perhaps that would have been a better plan overall, rather than trying to move up this ramp, as the split Marine Marauder force over here will, force a bit of a response out of Solar. Where do we have those Viper? Okay, Viper in the main. Could Parasitic Bomb this instantly, right? Yep, there we go. Parasitic Bomb on this medevac is going to go down with the help of these Queens attacking as well. At the same time, we have a fight in the middle. One thing that I really do notice when watching Solar play is the weird lack of flank. Like, look at these Ultras. They're just kind of moving through this tiny choke. Now they'll have to move away again. They're taking a lot of damage just trying to get to the units. And we saw it before already. The moment Solar sets up a flank, when he came from the left, he absolutely ravaged this position. And I think he's using it, well, not frequently enough, these types of flanks. There were a couple of times where I think if it was like a Ling flank or a Ling Bane flank, would have really helped these fights just, you know, tilt a bit more into his favor. Resources lost is 13k to 12k, so fairly close. We have a 4 Ultra attack right now. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They're fairly vulnerable to snipes. If you get a couple of Marauders on top of them, you might just end up losing them as well. Do we even have the Anabolic Synthesis? Yeah, we do. The movement speed, the movement buff off creep for the Ultralisk has been researched already. I mean, this medevac should just get taken out by the next Parasitic Bomb. I wouldn't mind seeing a second Viper here either. This is an interesting attack. This is a very interesting attack. Kind of wanting to cut off the head of the snake, circumventing the middle part as well as the planetaries, and saying, hey, if I go to your natural, get access to your main, that could be a pretty big deal. Maybe I can, you know, get you to commit into defending your natural. Right now, there's not a whole lot of tanks there. in general, there's just not a whole lot of tanks on the map, but majority of them are kind of focused around the middle. There's 5 tanks defending the middle. None of them are defending this area right now. Absolutely none. So if Solar manages to get into that spot, Clem could actually be in a world of trouble. He's desperately trying to move back. Couple of tanks on siege. Liberators will need to move in as well into correct positions. Get a couple of siege ups. Solar did get spotted here by that medevac. We have the 4 Ultra Steel here on top as well. As the Spire comes down. 3-3 upgrades for Clem finish up. And we're now on the way to playing a late game. I haven't seen any late games yet on this map. Solar does seem to know what he wants to do. Look at how neutral these bases are. Holy crap. This base is so far away from anything that is Terran related. I don't think that Clem can really contest this in the moment. Solar's moving in, wanting to deny a base, but the middle is actually fairly clumped up, right? You have a couple of good tank positions here. If these rocks don't get taken out, that really sucks as well. But the bottom side, like this 6th will be hard. This 6th will be practically impossible. So for Solar, I think priority is going to be mining from the bottom right and mining from the top left. If you take both of these bases and you get somewhat decent trades like he's been doing so far, like this game is definitely going to be going his way. As we have a Ling Ultra attack, Viper kind of trailing behind. Get a single blinding cloud. Just going to stop one tank from shooting. At the same time, we have the 4 Ultra attack here on the planetary. I just don't really see this working. I am not really seeing this working. He needs to target these SCVs if he wants to achieve anything. Liberator from the skies with some fat damage as well on the Ultras. Resource lost a little bit in favor of Clem right now by about 3,000 resources. But that is to be expected, to be honest. That is to be expected. You know, I don't even really mind these types of Ultra attacks, like low supply run-bys, which are Ultra-based. But having like 5, 6, 7 Banelings in there to clear SCVs that are repairing is freaking huge. And the moment Liberators are on the map, I think any amount of Corruptors is just going to be a necessity. Yeah, here they are. We have 11 Corruptors. Ooh, that's actually a fairly high number of Corruptors. Especially given the fact there's only 2 Liberators. 11 Corruptors, eh? Wowee. That is something. That really is something. Ultras need to be careful. If they're not on creep, they could perhaps get kited forever. Or get sniped and then kited. Planetary further forward here. Clem wants to lock down this middle area, but I honestly don't see any reason for Solar to ever attack there. The only mistake that Solar is making right now is that he's not taking this hatchery yet. Everything else, I think, has been, I don't want to say perfect, but has been pretty much textbook. A lot of his moves have been textbook, but not mining from this base is actually a pretty big blunder. You know what? I wouldn't even have minded if he would have attempted to take this hatchery. Even if you just mine like 5, 6, 700 gas from these 2 extractors at like a very high pace, that is still worthwhile doing. And I think it still is something that Zerg just don't do fast enough. They take these corner bases way too late, even after they already realize that it's going to go into a pretty much a split map scenario. As Solar actually tried getting into the middle with planetary tank positions. Too hard to break over here. More snipes going down as an Ultra falls. Resource lost, now a 7k gap. So that was about 1k loss for Clem and about a 3k loss for Solar. It's a fairly bad fight, despite Clem being extremely high in worker count still. And that number, that SCV number, is still going to drop over the next few minutes. The more and more orbital commands he's going to be adding into the mix, the lower his overall SCV count can be. He's currently already on 7 orbitals, and I think, honestly, that 77 workers on 7 orbitals is a bit high. Going down to 60, 62, maybe even slightly below 60 and 55, especially if you have this kind of bank, is a completely reasonable thing to do. Corruptors are going to be moving in. We get an EMP on that Viper. No blinding cloud can be used as a result, and this base might just end up dying. No, we're not going to get that. Solar just doesn't want it, it seems like. He's going for these ghosts, but that might be a mistake because there's a tank in the back which will help out. And now you're not actually going to get any bases down anymore. I think he had a prime opportunity to break open the top side here. At the same time, Solar is heading in towards this potential 6th base for Clem, but does not want to waste any Banelings onto it because it can still lift. Fairly often, as a Zerg player, you actually want to wait until the planetary has completed. Because the moment the planetary completes, it is worthwhile to clear it. Otherwise, if you're running Banelings in, they can just lift it. Now, of course, Terran can just never build the planetary because it's such a useful structure to have when it comes to damage output, but it's just something to keep in mind when you're doing these types of big committed attacks. Baneling count here is decent, but perhaps not high enough. Corruptors in the sky working on a lot of those medevacs, as the planetary actually is taking a lot of damage here. Ultras are going down. Worker count for Clem is getting lower and lower. Resources lost. Not looking too bright though for Solar, who also doesn't have any control, by the way, on the top side of the map. Ooh, I love this single Broodlord harass. I'm a huge fan of this. Just breaking this tank line open is an extremely cool move, as this base now will need to be given up. This base can start mining, but once Clem has this base properly set up, that could be an issue. Ooh, Banelings might get some connections though. Solar once again not really splitting the units. Tanks continue firing. Banelings just barely don't get to the ghost. And once more, it's a fight in which it felt like Clem could be in trouble. But at the end of the day, you know, we look at the results of the fights and Clem is up about 10k. Solar hasn't mined any of the neutral bases, really. He's been trying to. He's now going to transfer some drones over towards the top left. He hasn't broken this area either, and this base is about to mine out. Like, I am not loving his position anymore. Bank is starting to run dry as well. The only good thing here for Solar is that the medevac count for Clem is fairly mediocre. There's only 2 out right now. A lot of these units are still damaged. So if you can kind of pounce on this army once or twice in a row, you know, maybe you'll need to stim. Maybe you'll damage Ghost a little bit. That could be something that might play a role in the future. Solar is seemingly going for another attack as he morphs 11 more Banes, +2 on the air attack as well. Yeah, we got a Liberator showing up now on the top left, and here we go. Solar moves on in forward. This is an orbital command, not a planetary. It means less damage output, but also it means it can lift. Corruptors moving in and are gonna clear those medevacs. Banelings actually getting connections with the Ghost as well. Does look like at least one command center is gonna get taken out. This orbital will survive, and this Ultra is not gonna get sniped down. Ghost count only 7 remaining. As this Liberator got 27 kills total, and just now I think got 15 drones as well. That is fairly decent damage. Both players actually struggling for money, by the way, when it comes to the income. Look at this. Clem only has 5 mineral patches remaining, if you don't count this base. Solar is not really mining a whole lot either, because this gold base mines out so freaking fast. Still has this one going, though. Yeah, if he manages to deny this base, like 1 or 2 more times, and doesn't take god-awful trades, there might actually still be a future for the Zerg here in this game. As this base is also being saturated right now. We have 60 drones. Liberator goes down. Are we gonna see like a drop being sent out here? I guess there's just not enough medevacs. There's only 2 medevacs remaining. Caduceus Reactor, the energy upgrade for the medevacs, is being researched right now. Planetary is going to be in a little bit of trouble, as Marines are moving in forward. Ghosts do not get the snipe off. Viper and Corruptors all manage to survive. Both of these bases mining again, by the way, which is a good sign here for the Zerg player. Just kind of setting up. I'm not sure what his plan is here on the top. Maybe his plan is just to hold this area. He has mined a little bit here. It's just not enough. It's not enough. He hasn't mined enough from there. Finally clearing those rocks. I think this is a good call. I guess even if you just kind of show your face here, it makes it scary for Clem to keep all of the defensive resources on the bottom side. Look at the army supply, by the way. It's 150 against 134. So really a lot of army supply for the Terran as well. We're at 19 Ghost, 10 tanks, 2 Thors, 27 Marines. We have a full split of the army. There's no way. Can Clem actually move in here like that? Apparently he can. He's gonna snipe 1 Ultra. Link's getting some connections. Next Ultra also gets sniped. 2 new Ultras and 22 Links now on the way. Uh-oh. I think Clem is out of position with a small portion of his army at least. Let's see if this flank can work. Yeah, this base is toast. These drones might be toast as well. No, Clem is gonna let them live. So 1 tank will get taken out. This planetary could be in trouble. It's gonna survive for now. We have a forward plan. I think he's gonna crawl forward here with planetaries. 1 planetary here, 1 planetary here, 1 planetary here. Then slowly but surely make his way over towards the bottom right side. It's one ultra. See the carcass of it slowly being eaten by the map. Does feel like this is going to be a very key moment for Solar. If he does not manage to hold this base, I don't think there's going to be too much of a future for him in this game. And I believe that Solar also knows that. So Solar most likely is going to either go for a full-on counterattack into this general area, or he needs to try and defend this. And honestly, I don't really think he can try and defend this. Sending a lot of units here through the middle. Banelings want to hit. Do not quite get the connections though. And here comes the Link flank. But once again, Clem is just not getting caught out of position with his Ghost Marine army. Yeah, these Thors might get caught, but the Marine Ghost is slippery like a freaking eel, is getting out of everything. We're gonna get a couple of Overseers here on top of this army. Let's see if these Banelings can hit the clump. So far, not really. Maybe the last few Banelings can get some hits. Oh, Solar, not too bad of a trade. It's not brilliant, but it's definitely not too bad. If Solar still had this base mining right now, I actually would pretty much... I think I would definitely like his position. He cleared 1 or 2 orbitals as well in the middle. He's mining from the top left again. But this is such a serious issue right now for Solar. He's building 6 more Ultralisk. Clem, meanwhile, is pumping 3 tanks at a time as well as 3 Ghosts. What is our barrack count? Our barrack count is at 8. 4 tack lamps means we can pump 4 Ghosts at a time. Overall army value is heavily in favor of the Terran as well. This base is most likely going to end up falling. Plus 2 Corruptors do pack quite a punch. Gonna have a Ling attack on the bottom side. Nope, it's not gonna work out here either, buddy. Not gonna be working out over there. Ay. Solar's trying to morph a couple of Banes, but if he doesn't break this, I think Solar knows he's dead, right? He needs to break it, and he probably needs to break it right now. Here comes the Lings, here come the Banes, and here come the couple of Ultras that are still left as well. Corruptors in the sky will deal with the Medivacs, but I just don't think there's enough damage output here. The Banelings did not get the connections they wanted. The Marines are still dealing damage, the Ghosts are still sniping, and more tanks are showing up. GG gets called. Clement's game number 1. The second game will be played on Amygdala. As, ooh, you nasty dog. Clem tried to go for a block here with this worker to see if he could stop the third base from going down, but Solar already got the third base a little bit quicker than Clem had anticipated, and thus that block did not happen. Drone almost goes down, manages to stay alive. It has to be very frustrating to play against people with good Reaper control. I already get frustrated when I play Zerg and I'm playing against people with bad Reaper control. I lose like half of my drone line against a single Reaper. Playing against Clem can be a very enjoyable experience. At least, I don't think so if you're a Zerg player. 6 Lings are out. We'll be occupying this general space, making sure that Reapers can just willy-nilly go in without having to pay a price for it. Ideally, you don't really want to give the Terran free information. Like, there's not a whole lot of different build orders you can do as a Zerg player, but if you want to go for like a Roach all-in, then it might be nice to be capable of hiding that. And the Lings on the high ground, yeah, tend to make sure of that. Alright. What is Clem going to be doing here? He's opening up with a 4 Hellion, I think. 4 Hellion into a 2-1-1. He's played this particular build quite a bit as of late. He actually has played this build an awful lot as of late. Where he'll open up with a couple, 2 to 4 Hellions, and then he'll swap into mass marine production. So this time it's just going to be 2 Hellions. I've seen him just kind of keep those Hellions at home as well. Not today though. I really want to see what his plan will be. Starport goes down behind all of this. We'll keep an eye on that. He's looking for a drive-by, but that drive-by ain't happening. No drive-by for you, my dear friend. And see what Clem is trying to do. He was thinking of hiding these 2 Marines. Because you don't really want to show your opponent what you're doing. But seeing these 2 extra Marines is enough already, right? Solar now knows, okay, this is a 2-Rex. There's double production. There's not going to be any extra Hellions. He knows that the starport will be delayed as well as a result. So he won't have to add any early spores. He's getting a second gas here. I'm expecting a layer timing the moment 100 gas gets hit as well. It's going to be the next goal here for him. And he'll probably continue adding more and more queens until he either gets to 7 or 9. Those are kind of the key numbers that we'd like to follow majority of the time as a Zerg player. Layer comes down right now as the worker count's already at 56. 4 minutes and 50 seconds into the game. Baling nest behind it. And that means we're gonna go for fast baling speed into 1-1 melee and carapace. Last game we saw that initial roach hold. I don't mind roach holds either, by the way, if you're playing against the 2-1-1. I've seen them have phenomenal success, even against Clem himself, with these types of holds, but not what Solar wants apparently. He says, hey, if I can get 64 drones out and I survive on Queen Ling, that's going to be a pretty sweet spot that I'll find myself in. This fort base, by the way, absolutely key. If this gets cancelled, we're going to see Solar float a crap ton of money. It wouldn't even surprise me if he double expands right now, because he went to such a high drone count so quickly. If he misses even just a single inject, like he's doing right now for a little bit, and that fort base gets taken out, he's going to be in so much larva trouble. He's going to be in so much larva trouble. So far, though, he's doing a good job defending. He killed, what, four Marines? Only lost a single Overlord, and that's the scouting Overlord from earlier. Clem, I think, realizes that he needs to do something, but nothing is happening over here. 6 more drones already in production. Oi, 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 oi. I think Clem is actually in some trouble. He did not deal the damage that he needed to deal. Yes, he has relatively quick upgrades behind this, and yes, his eco is fine, but he's going to be finding himself down about 20 supply in this position. 20 supply down. That is a lot of cash. That is a lot of supply. So we see the Hydralisk then coming in. We have a 5th base as well. Fort managed to survive. And another thing here is that if you lose 4 Marines, this double drop becomes so much less powerful. And if this drop is less powerful, then it means then the split drop that you're going to be sending out with the next 2 medevacts is also going to be less powerful. The reason why multitasking is good is because hopefully there are 2 decently sized armies on the map. If there's only 1 decently sized army on the map, it's really not that scary, because you can overcompensate on one side for a little bit. So yeah, losing that many Marines early on and dealing no damage is actually quite bad. Now we have 4 more depots on the way, we have extra tanks, and Clem is actually going to reinforce this position as his combat shield and his infantry armor and infantry weapons here are about to finish up. We have a bunch of Hydras on the way. Note that there is no infestation pit quite yet. This can have 2 reasons. 1, Solar forgot about it. 2, Solar wants to go for a more committed kind of Hydra Ling Bane attack here, saving some of that gas to get more Banelings out a little bit from now. We have a Ling run by as well, hitting the 3rd base right now. Just a single Hellion remaining. Not a Banshee opener, so no Banshees that can save this base. That was an okay defense though for Clem. That was a very okay defense, given how bad that situation could have ended up for him. Solar's gonna go back instantly, but there is a Hellbed right now. This is a beautiful wall. And Solar says, okay, I won't try anymore. Maybe with some Banelings, he could go for a Baneling attack. I think that's what he should try to do here. Like more of like 10 of these guys into Banes, run in. And there's no defensive tanks here whatsoever. I think it would be a cool thing. Oh my god, it's gonna go for... How many is this? This is like 18 Banelings. It is actually about 18 Banelings. Good lord, that's a lot of Banes. Solar's also going to be giving up this base. This is such a cool move. Oh my god, I love this move. He's playing against 8 racks, by the way. I hadn't noticed that yet, but Clem going in with the 8 racks. Solar says, hey, you can have my 5th base, because I already have a different 4th. I'm just going to take your 3rd base as a response. And I'm going to take your reinforcing army as well. Clem not paying attention. A rare moment in which Clem gets caught off guard. These Banelings are now going to run in towards the 3rd base. And all of these SCVs most likely are going to end up falling. There's really not a whole lot that Clem can do about it. And that means that Solar has now put Clem on a timer. Where before Clem wanted to put Solar on a timer with these upgrades, saying, hey, once I get 2-2 and you don't have 2-2, you'll be in trouble. But I think Clem's eco will be too bad right now that he can't really wait for the 2-2 upgrades. He'll have to go right here, right now. He needs to hit, and he needs to hit extremely hard. We have another Ling run by being sent out. Probably will try to clear some of these reinforcements, and maybe once again smash a couple of SCVs. There is no alternative base at this point, by the way, which means that if Solar has to give up this area as well, he's going to be in some serious trouble. The Ling run by is going to get stopped by the tank and the reinforcing Marines. Solar is running away, but where is he running to? I guess he has the gold, but I mean, these rocks haven't disappeared yet, and that means this is an impossible location to hold. It is not viable. We do have some tech coming in for Solar, as he is going towards lurkers. Maybe that is going to be good enough. If he gets like 4 or 5 lurkers out against a pure marine army, that could be a game changer. But 3 base versus 3 base is usually not quite what you want. You have a huge Ling Bane attack, by the way, coming in. There is a tank and there are a couple of marines out. And with superior upgrades, I do believe that Clem is going to be fine there defensively. This is going to get stopped as well. 1 Overlord, no new base over here. Baneling count is phenomenal though. 45 is a very, very serious Baneling count. +3 attack hasn't started yet for Clem, as he double drops now into Solar's natural. Banelings will need to go in to try and clear that. Oh, Clem not paying attention. That's -16 marines. Rebuilds them instantly, but still. Fort base on the way, Ultra Cavern on the way. Wait, he must have cancelled the lurker then. He absolutely must have cancelled the lurker then. I mean, these rocks, they're not being taken out in time, buddy. Very sloppy play. That would have been a big deal. Opening up that flanking opportunity. And once again, the one thing I noticed in Solar's play is that these flanks are not being set up in time. These rocks are not being cleared in order to deal with these types of threats. Marine count is extremely high. There is still a creep tumor over here, providing some boosting the moment the Lings and Banes will get there. It's extremely important for Clem to take that out. It actually is. Tank count is fairly high as well. Do we have Vipers? No, there are no Vipers in this force. Oh, there's one. I don't know where it is though. I don't think Solar knows where it is either. Where are you, buddy? Okay, it's full. 196 energy. Ultralisk Chitinous plating on the way. The first Ultra is also on the way out. Fort CC is about to finish up. Clem is playing aggressively because his army has a bit of a timer on it, right? It's a lot of marines. There's a couple of tanks. Viper trying to move forward. Blinding Cloud here on 2 of the tanks. That is big. Another tank gets Blinding Clouded here as well. Solar's going to be pushing this army back. We'll take out 2, 3 of these tanks. And the left side tanks are actually not protecting the right side whatsoever. There's no overlap there. And as a result, Solar's actually going to clear this army. We have 3 Ultras on the way as well. And without any Marauders out, the moment Chitinous finishes up, which is in 30 seconds from now, I think Clem is in a world of trouble. I think he's in a world of trouble already, and I think Clem has realized it too. He's moving in, wanting to get a kill here. Gets the snipes on the Banelings. There's only 1 Baneling remaining. Also goes down. Tank plus Marine might just be good enough as the first Ultra is about to run out. Let's see how that Ultra will perform in this fight. Chitinous plating 14 seconds away from finishing. And with only 2 tanks, no Marauder follow-ups, I do believe that this fight is going to be a fairly one-sided stomp over here. Blinding Cloud comes in. These Marines are just not dealing any damage whatsoever. Clem is being pushed back here on Amygdala as the supply is tilted heavily into the favor of the Korean Zerg player. Clem now adding those tech labs, but he's just a little bit too late with them. I don't think he expected the transition into Ultras from Hydra Ling Bane. Very frequently we see Lurkers, which also was the initial plan here for Solar. And against Lurkers there's a more gradual transition, you know? Marines can deal with a low Lurker amount. Marines can deal with a low Ultra amount, because Ultras just don't die. And they can easily walk across the map. They're fairly decent off creep. They don't need any time to set up, unlike the Lurker, which has all of these downsides. Anabolic Synthesis is about to finish up here as well, and Solar is launching his attack, planning on taking out this fort base. Once this fort base dies, by the way, I think any illusion that Clem has of still winning this game pretty much disappears. Like, I don't believe that he can hold. GG gets called. Solar takes game number 2. One of the main things I've noticed, by the way, when I watch Clem play, is that whenever he plays these double barracks builds, is that the Zerg early game tends to just be better. It's just, it feels better, it looks better, they have higher drone counts, they don't take half as much damage. And it's mainly because the second barracks, it is a much more linear progression of power for the Terran, right? It's less dynamic as well. You basically have a single push that you're gonna do, which is going to be with those 16 Marines. And that will be it. Well, if you're going Hellion Banshee, like at any point from the first moment that the Hellions hit the pitch till the moment where your double drops come out at like 6:30, you can basically go in with the Hellions and deal damage. You can deal damage with the Banshees. You can clear fort bases. There's no such risk if you're playing against the double barracks opener, because there's just going to be a single push. You know the timing of that push as well, and Zergs are ready for it. Unless you lose a lot of units or a lot of drones to the first 2 Hellions and the Reaper, or the first 4 Hellions and the Reaper, there's really not so much that the Terran can do to kind of throw you off. And I think one of the main skills that Clem has is that he's freaking fast with those first units. And he's so good at running by with Hellions. He's so powerful in those first 5-6 minutes where he'll frequently just straight up win games. Is that by getting that faster second barracks, you're kind of giving up on the ability to win games in that portion of the in that portion of the game. These first 5-6 minutes. Now, this time we're gonna see a more standard approach from him. Hellion, Banshee. He's really been leaning heavily onto 6 Hellion as of late. And then using those Hellions as run-by tools more so than controlling tools. Where I think in the olden days, whenever we saw Terrans, they kind of used the Hellions to try and deny creep, maybe clear a Ling here or there. Not so much to really sacrifice themselves for drone kills. But nowadays it feels like, yes, Hellions are still there to kind of control the pace of the game. But at any point, they can also just drive by and they can get a couple of drone kills. And that is really sick. And as long as the Banshees stay alive, you still have that anti-run-by tool later on in the game. So it's just something really to keep an eye on here, is how these Hellions get used as well. The double barracks do go down. We'll see a second reactor coming in as well here on this factory. And Stim shall start momentarily too. The third gas. Fourth gas, and the orbital command will fly over towards the third base location right now. Clem is about to hit over here. Once again, we see the Roach Warren as the response to this particular opener. So it seems like Solar kind of has a system set up where he'll go for Ling Bane against barracks focus builds. Oh, all that thought is once again we're going to have a Hellion drive by. I think Solar's actually going to lose quite a few Lings here. That was minus 6, 7, 8 Lings or so. 5 Lings and 1 drone going down. Hellions not taking any major damage. Last 2 Hellions will join as well at the front. And take a look at how Clem kind of controls the game. He's like, Banshees in the middle. He'll see any move out of Lings with his Hellions or with his Banshees. It's almost impossible to kind of drive by. As these 2 have cloak right now, I don't think there is an Overseer out quite yet. Gonna need to transfuse a couple of times, double transfuse over there. We have more Queens moving forward as the Hellions move in position to get a shot off. They do get a shot off. Where's that Overseer? Overseer has finished right now, was in the natural. 1 more transfuse. How many Queens have died? 2? Yeah, 2 Queens have died. The third one is about to fall as well. A couple Hellions will go down here too. 3 Hellions have fallen, but a crap ton of Lings have gone down too. This was a much more stressful early game here for Solar. Banshees are still alive. Hellions can go back home to repair. Maybe will be used as like a Hellbat supplement to the tank push that is about to come. Unless Clem is about to lose him right now. I think Solar's gonna commit to this because they're so extremely low in health that you can actually just aim move on top of them. Meanwhile, these Banshees, both are gonna survive. A little bit of control gone here for Clem as the infestation pit is instant. Once more, most likely going for an ultra rush. These Ultralisks really have been playing a huge role in these games. And this is a recent development in Solar's play, where before he was very heavily reliant on Lingbane Hydra, and then eventually going into Lingbane Hydra Viper, and eventually adding in a couple of lurkers with Nidus. Nowadays, we see a much heavier focus, much quicker on the Ultralisk, and a fast rush into those. Yes, he'll still often open up with either Ravager Lingbane or Hydra Lingbane, but then the Ultras as the hive tech, rather than the lurker. So there's an interesting switch up there out of him. Clem's going to be going back home. Is not mentally ready yet to start pushing as his 4th base goes down. 75 drones for Solar, who builds 2 more. We have the +1 melee, +1 carapace, 1/1 infantry, armor, and weapons finish up for Clem. Just trying to deny a bit of creep. Snipes 1 roach. We'll get another big scan over here. We'll get 3 out of the 4 creep tumors. The only one that remains is the active one. It's a little bit frustrating for Clem. Would have loved to get that. I can assure you that. Queen's moving back out to respread that creep. The hive's about to finish up. We have the centrifugal hooks. Really late, by the way. Back in my day, centrifugal hooks was the first upgrade you wanted to get as the Zerg. But nowadays they feel so so secure, you know, with just a bunch of roaches to deal with these initial combat shield pushes or 1-1 pushes. And then eventually they add in the banelings and the baneling nest and the centrifugal hooks. We get a quick ultra cavern, we get the adrenal glands, we get the vipers. Serious gas investments here that are not paying off right here in this moment. I really do wonder if Solar's going to be capable of holding this push. What do we have? Okay, there's just a 4cc. Do we have a second factory yet? Yeah, we have a second factory pumping mines as well. This is 3 tanks. This is banelings being morphed. A lot of them too far forward. That means there's no banelings defensively right now. Centrifugal hooks still not done as banelings are being morphed in, but they're just not going to be done. Clem is just going to be stimming to victory here, I think. An absolute off timing here for Solar. Centrifugal hooks 12 seconds away, but he has no banelings because they all got sniped before they finished. And Clem now smells blood in the water. He stims him forward. Tanks in the back dealing a lot of damage. These Marines are not dying, perhaps overstimming, but winning. And that is what really matters. Clem takes the game and takes the series against Solar with a 2-1 score. Thanks so much for watching, and bye-bye.